All right. This is Matt.
And Jake here.
Welcome to Sabbath Lounge, and it feels like it's been a while since we've been here.
Yeah, it seems like forever.
It seems like a bunch of stuff has happened in the world.
Yeah.
But when is that not true?
It's always true.
That's right. Well, we're coming again, making these Torah portions, and here we are at week 10, and what's the name of it?
Miketz. I always call it Miketz because it sounds like rickets, like the... I don't know. Rickets to me sounds like an old people disease.
Yeah, it's like, he got rickets again.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're shaking the camera.
Yeah.
Okay, got to be careful. But yes, you said Miketz.
Yeah, I think it's
Spigots. Yes. Meerkats.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean, Matt?
It means at the end.
And this Torah portion is dealing with what section of scripture?
Genesis 41 through 44:17. And I'm a little concerned our camera is just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, I think it'll be just fine. I don't think anyone's really looking at us anyway.
This is true. And if you are, stop it.
Watch the slides.
All right. So here we are with the 12 tribes. And so they are Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin.
What's the importance of that, Matt?
Well, the names mean something. So let's...
gasp.
Yes. So it starts off with, we see a son.
What kind of son would that be? Like Yeshua. Makes sense.
We hear from the son. We want to join with the son. We acknowledge our own judgment that is coming. We wrestle with ourselves and the Father. When we let him win, we are joined to his family. This leads us to joy in our obedience. As we gain wisdom to do the work of our actions, we find that it's our destiny to occupy as we become the fruit that the Father has added, the Son of his right hand. So,
indeed.
So if you take the names and what they mean, you can kind of do that with that. Now, somebody has taken a little bit of liberty with that, but
it's interesting. I mean, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to see that he would have the gospel story written into the names of the tribes.
Mm-hmm. Especially since in Revelation, how many gates are there?
12.
There's 12 gates. I mean, there are 12 foundations or 12 layers. I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. 12 is important.
And if you can pull the gospel story out of the first verse in the Bible, then I'm sure it's
it doesn't seem like too much of a stretch. And so here's our family tree again.
Yep. Not our family. Not our family.
It is our family.
Well, I
These
guess
are
that's
our
true.
ancestors,
That's true.
Jake.
That's true.
I call them family. I want to be called in that family.
Yeah.
So, and then there's...
I'd like to be grafted into that family.
Right. And it's interesting. This kind of does look like grafted in here.
Yeah.
Just looking at the timeline even. So we wanted to dive deeper into this Joseph to Yeshua connection. I know that we've talked about that before, and I hope we're not like beating this dead horse, the proverbial dead horse. But it is interesting, and there's so much here. And I challenge you to think about this, and this list, may not be complete.
And if you come up with more, send them in.
That's right. So Jake, when we just alternate these.
Sure.
Okay, go.
Both Yeshua and Joseph had miraculous births.
So how was Joseph's birth miraculous? Do you remember?
Well, it was his mother had been barren.
Exactly. Yep. So, and then of course we know the Yeshua one. Both obedient to their fathers, and they were about their father's business.
That's true. Both were pure. There was no sin that was written about them.
But are we saying Joseph was sinless?
No, that's not what we're saying.
Right. Both were sent by the father to check on their brothers. Yeshua was sent to the lost sheep.
Yes.
Something got cut off there.
I think it's under your thing on the side there.
I don't know how to get rid of that. What happens if I say that's
it's
stop presenting?
That's not doing it. Down here, this is the thing you want to get rid of, but I don't know that I'd click any of that.
Okay. Well, maybe one day we'll figure out how to drive here.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we changed it, but we changed something here. What does that do? Focus mode.
Ooh, there you go. Hide tools. Hey, that's probably the one.
That seems a little better.
Right. Now,
Okay.
if you stop moving the mouse around, that
All
whole
right,
thing will
go.
go away. Okay, Joseph and Yeshua go to Egypt.
Joseph was the same as Pharaoh. He spoke for the father. He represented the father.
Both were not recognized until the time was right.
Oops. Both were rejected by their brothers / children.
Yes. And both had garments left behind, a shroud, a coat of colors. Ooh, is this the Shroud of Turin? Is that what we're talking?
Yes.
Ooh. A little controversial there.
That's right. There was a conspiracy to kill Judah sold them out for money, 20 pieces and 30 pieces. I think I've seen some people say this was a mistranslation and they're both the same. I don't know.
I don't know. But Judas and Judah, very close.
Yes, no coincidence.
Both went peacefully and did not fight.
For both, blood was shed and clothes were torn.
Both were put in the ground. Joseph was in a well, and Yeshua was in the tomb.
Both were raised up.
Both were beaten, stripped, persecuted for the sake of the people.
By their wounds we are healed, both the brothers and us.
The coat of colors was a sign of royalty. Both were king-like and second in command on paper, but in reality in charge of it all, just like Joseph. So this coat of colors that we learn about in Miketz.
Dolly Parton? She sang a song, "The coat of many colors."
Oh,
I'm not much gave to me.
Not much of a Dolly Parton listener.
You should listen to that one. That's a good one. That's about the coat of many colors.
Right.
Okay.
Now, in the Hebrew, right, it's this coat of colors is actually a long sleeve garment of sorts, right?
Right. Maybe a mistranslation, but yeah.
I have no more to add. It's
Okay.
just interesting.
Yes, definitely something you should check out, and just know that we call it coat of many colors, but yes, it may not be what we traditionally thought it was.
That's for commonality. It's for commonality, so you know what we're talking about.
So Joseph's dreams, the fulfillment of his dreams is Yeshua.
Yes. Both went away to prepare a place for their family. Then they repent and are ashamed for the hurt it has caused their father.
Brothers and the children reject them both, and they both were servant leaders.
Both were elevated above others.
The baker and butler are like the thief on the cross. One was remembered and one was condemned.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting tie-in there. Joseph prepared the bread of life, and Yeshua was the bread of life.
Both were tempted to sin. Both rejected the sin.
And it's funny that the sin that Joseph rejects is adultery.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the path that the house of Israel should have taken, but did not.
Yes.
Both were innocent, but had to suffer because of it.
Both saved their families by something that seemed like a terrible punishment.
Does famine sound like a punishment?
Doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good.
I'm not a fan of it, clearly. My body is an example of that. I don't like famine.
Me either.
No, did we already do that one? No. So both had families that did very little to help until the end after their sin convicted them. So, in fact, the brothers had spent their whole life and career promoting a lie to their father, which is absolutely insane if you think about spending your entire life lying to one of the people you should love the most in the world.
Right. Let's see. Both were falsely accused.
And both went before the king, and both were silent, in essence.
Mm-hmm. They didn't defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The grain is unmeasurable, just like the children and the promise.
Both judge the children of Israel and have forgiveness for them.
Judah is willing to stand in the gap for his brother, willing to lay down his life. This is at the end.
There's the meal and the
feet.
the great feet that was washed. Wait,
featuring
their peds were washed up in the upper room kind of moment. This is like the when Joseph's brothers come back finally, and it's like their last little hurrah before they go back and get Jacob, and they have the meal and that kind of thing.
It's not, and Joseph doesn't wash their feet, but he has people do it.
Yes, there is a washing of said feet.
But it does mention it, yeah. Both yearn for the fellowship of the children of Israel, and then Joseph's, it's his, he longed to be in relation with his brothers and his father, and a lot of tie-ins.
Right, and you see that a lot in this section where, he goes away to weep without them knowing, and he's very wrought with emotion.
Yeah, it's easy to go, he's kind of a crybaby, but I mean, it is emotional. It is easy to look at that story and be like, wah, 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 but that's not fair.
No.
Because it is, because when we're looking at it, we're so far removed, and we're not, as closely tied to these brothers as Joseph was, and it was a very powerful moment. And Joseph knew all along that, that Yahuwah had put this together, and he'd known, this is a fulfillment of the dreams and everything. So it was very emotional, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, we have dysfunctional family situations going on nowadays, and if you know anyone that's been like what's the right word? Where you've been
estranged.
That's perfect. That's exactly the word I was thinking of. Where you've been estranged from your family, and then you have a meeting together. It's very emotional time. So you can imagine.
So both have a wedding-like celebration to commensurate the reunification of the family.
Yes. Let's see. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? On the Joseph side?
So, I mean, yeah, he definitely has a big meal, and, makes a big deal out of it.
Yeah, and then they go and get the bride, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to.
Too soon.
Ooh, too soon. Both have brothers that are unaware that the feast they have been celebrating were for their brother. Modern Jews keep the feast, but don't recognize him. Ooh.
That was pretty deep.
That was deep right there.
And this part has not been fulfilled. Both were in a way resurrected from the dead. Quotes from Joseph only. I don't know why.
Why is quotes for Joseph only?
I don't know.
Oh, resurrected from the dead. Because he specifically says in this section that he was, Jacob comes and says, my son has been resurrected from the dead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
See, we know what we're talking about.
Yes. That's right. Both are in charge of the harvest of the wheat.
Yes, you want to harvest that wheat. Both are solving the issue of a famine. Joseph is a physical famine. Yeshua represents solving the spiritual famine and is the bread of life.
Both open up the storehouse. Yeshua is opening up the storehouse of heaven, of blessings, where Joseph was a literal grain silo.
Just picture Yeshua handing out sacks of wheat to people. Here, go read that. Both are the answer to life in their generations. The only way was through them. Very true.
The right hand of Pharaoh, the right hand of the Father.
Yeah, look at that relationship. That's exactly Yeshua and Yahweh kind of relationship there. Matthew 3 something. It's in there somewhere.
Matthew 3, yep. Go look it up.
We'll point you right to it. Voice from heaven, this is my beloved Son, whom I am well pleased, loved by his Father more than the other brothers. This is because he was only sold out to his father. The only one sold out to his father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the quote in Matthew 3 is, "This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased," right?
Yeah.
Which is a voice from heaven.
Mm.
And that's some Miketz.
And so the next time that we meet again, we'll talk a little bit more about the bridal language.
Right, because it kind of comes full circle in the next section.
And so this is really, what is this, week 2 of 3, talking about Joseph?
I think so.
And so Joseph gets a pretty large portion in the Torah group as a whole.
Yeah.
So his story is very important. So, but like we said, we don't claim to be experts, Torah scholars, but we want you to look to the source and hope that our kind of fly through helps you glean maybe some things that you didn't know before.
Yeah, and I think you kind of started putting this together last year, I think, on the similarities between Joseph and Yeshua, and it's insane how many tie-ins there are. I never really noticed it, how much it was like that before. And
almost every time we go through it, we go, oh, you could say this too. And so I don't even know that we captured it all. But,
right.
But, and I challenge you as your group. I know that we're like behind right now, but, when you go through this next time, be prepared to try to see all those connections, because it is some great aha moments that you can have. So,
right.
But we appreciate you tuning in, stopping by Sabbath Lounge. We ask that you share this, that you like this. We have a me-we. There's me-we. That's a funny thing to say, by the way.
It is.
Me-we. Almost sounds wrong, but
yeah.
But if we were in a lot of different platforms, if you Google Sabbath Lounge, you're going to find all these different platforms. And, we're in this weird time of deplatforming and all these crazy things that are happening. But, I'm not worried about it. As I heard Greg Widener talk about, he just released a video. I don't know if you watched it, but he talked about how he was all worried about it. And Yahuwah convicted him, that reminded him that Yahuwah has created the greatest wireless network ever made.
Yeah.
And that, through the connection of the Ruach HaKodesh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the tech giants do. He's got us all connected. So don't be worried about it. Don't spend your time in fear. Put your time in this word. And that's what we hope, is that you would spend your time in the word, know what it means, and quit worrying about all the craziness in the world, because we know the world's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And we know the enemy's out to get us.
Yep. And actually, we'll get into this a little bit in a couple weeks in the Torah portion coming up, because dealing with the fish, because there's a way for men to think about it, and then there's a way for Yahweh to say, no, let's go this way.
That's right.
So, little teaser there for you.
Yeah. Well, once again, this is Matt and
Jake here.
We're signing off. Thank you for tuning in.